The family group chat exploded with messages. My brother Marcus posted screenshots of my acceptance letter to Stanford's MBA program. "This is suspicious," he wrote. Her undergrad GPA wasn't even that high. My sister Ashley chimed in immediately, "Probably some diversity thing." Dad's response came next, "I'll drive up there with you, Marcus. We need answers." I watched the messages pile up from my small apartment in Palo Alto. The same apartment they'd called pathetic when I moved in 3 years ago. The same apartment that sat on property I'd purchased outright for $2.3 million. They didn't know that part. I set my phone down and returned to reviewing the quarterly reports from the 3 companies in my portfolio. By morning, everything would be very different. Growing up as the youngest in the Chen family meant living in Marcus's shadow. He graduated summa cum laude from Harvard. Ashley got her law degree from Yale. Both worked at prestigious firms in New York, making the kind of money that impressed our parents at every family dinner. I took a different path. After finishing my economics degree at UC Berkeley with a 3.4 GPA, disappointing, according to Dad, I joined a small tech startup in San Francisco. The salary was $45,000. My signing bonus from Marcus's consulting firm had been $85,000. He never let me forget it. "Still at that little company?" he'd ask at Thanksgiving. "Still making peanuts?" Ashley would add. Mom would sigh. "We just want you to be successful, sweetheart." What they didn't know was that the little company gave me equity. When we were acquired by Google 18 months later, my shares were worth $8.2 million. I didn't tell them. I'd watched how they treated money, as a weapon, as proof of worth, as a tool for control. Marcus had used his salary to buy influence over family decisions. Ashley leveraged her position to dictate holiday plans. Both used their success to diminish mine. So I stayed quiet and invested carefully. The $8.2 million became $23 million through strategic angel investments in early-stage startups. 3 of them went public. 2 were acquired. 1 failed spectacularly, but I'd only invested $200,000 in that one. By the time I was 28, my portfolio was worth $47 million. At 29, I sold 2 companies for a combined $89 million. At 30, 3 months ago, I endowed a $15 million scholarship program at Stanford. The dean called it transformative. The university foundation asked me to join their board. I accepted. My family knew none of this. To them, I was still the underachiever who wasted her potential at a startup. The one who lived in a tiny apartment and drove a basic Honda. They mistook strategy for failure. I wasn't hiding. I was watching. The Stanford Scholarship Program was designed for first-generation college students pursuing entrepreneurship. I'd structured it with Dean Williams personally, spending 6 months crafting criteria that would identify students with potential rather than just perfect GPAs. "This will change lives," Dean Williams said at the private signing ceremony. $15 million creates opportunities for students who might never have had them. The foundation board meetings happened quarterly. I sat alongside CEOs, venture capitalists, and legacy donors whose families had supported Stanford for generations. My contributions had earned me a seat at the table and, more importantly, influence over university decisions. When I applied for the MBA program, I used my maiden name, Chen, rather than my business name. My application essays focused on my startup experience and investment thesis. I didn't mention the scholarship or my board position. I wanted admission based on merit, not connections. My acceptance letter arrived on a Tuesday. I'd been admitted to one of the most competitive MBA programs in the world, with a partial scholarship based on my demonstrated entrepreneurial success and potential for impact. I earned it. But when I posted about my admission on social media, just a simple, excited to start at Stanford GSB this fall, the family group chat erupted. Marcus called within minutes. "How did you get into Stanford?" "I applied," I said. "Your undergrad GPA was 3.4. They look at more than GPA for MBA programs." "What's your GMAT score?" 730. Silence. "Then, that's adequate. But Stanford? Something's off." Ashley joined the call. "Did you claim some hardship? Exaggerate your work experience." I listed my actual experience. "At that startup nobody's heard of? The one that Google acquired for $47 million, I said quietly. You didn't make that much from it, Marcus snapped. I didn't correct him. Let them think I'd been a low-level employee who got lucky with a small payout. Let them maintain their narrative. The truth would be more powerful when it finally emerged. The accusatory family dinner happened 3 days later. Mom insisted we all meet at their house in Atherton, the house whose mortgage I'd been anonymously paying for 2 years after Dad's investments went south. They didn't know that either. We need to discuss your admission, Dad said, sitting at the head of the table. Marcus pulled out a folder. I've been researching Stanford's admissions data. The average GMAT for admitted students is 737. You're below average. By 7 points, I noted. The average GPA is 3.8. You're significantly below that. For undergrad, yes. MBA programs weigh work experience heavily. Ashley leaned forward. What exactly did you tell them about your work experience? The truth. I joined a startup, helped grow it, and we were acquired by Google. In what role? Marcus demanded. Director of Business Development. And after the acquisition? I did some angel investing. Unsuccessfully, I assume, Ashley said. Since you're living in that tiny apartment. I smiled. I like my apartment. Mom touched my hand. Sweetheart, we're just concerned. Stanford is incredibly prestigious. If there's been some mistake or if you embellished anything on your application, we need to fix it before it becomes a scandal. There's no scandal, Mom. Marcus stood. I'm calling the dean tomorrow. Someone needs to investigate this admission. Marcus. This isn't negotiable. Our family's reputation is at stake. If you got in through some back door, it reflects on all of us. Dad nodded. He's right. We need transparency. Ashley added, and honestly, if you did exaggerate, it's better we catch it now than have Stanford discover it later. I looked at each of them. My brother, ready to sabotage my achievement to protect his ego. My sister, assuming I'd cheated because success couldn't possibly be legitimate. My parents, so convinced of my inadequacy they believed fraud more likely than merit. Do what you think is right, I said calmly. I left before dessert. Back in my apartment, I made tea and opened my laptop. The family group chat was already active. Marcus, meeting with Dean Williams tomorrow at 10 a.m. They confirmed the appointment. Ashley, want me to come? Legal perspective might help. Dad, we should all go. United front. Mom, maybe we should talk to her first. Marcus, we tried. She left. I opened a new text message to Dean Williams. We'd exchanged numbers during the scholarship negotiations, and she'd insisted I contact her directly if I ever needed anything. Dean Williams, my brother Marcus Chen has an appointment with you tomorrow at 10 a.m. He plans to report admissions fraud regarding my acceptance. He doesn't know I endowed the $15 million scholarship program or serve on the foundation board. He doesn't know about my companies or my portfolio. Thought you should have context. Her assistant, Jennifer, responded within minutes. Dean Williams received your message. She's asked me to coordinate with you. Would you be available to attend the meeting? I smiled at my phone. Yes. Should I arrive before or after my family? After. Let's give them 5 minutes to make their case. Then we'll have you join. Perfect. Jennifer sent another message. Dean Williams wanted me to tell you, this should be interesting. I spent the next hour documenting everything. Screenshots of family text messages. Recordings of phone calls where Marcus questioned my qualifications. Ashley's email to 3 Stanford alumni she knew, asking them to look into my admission. Dad's voicemail suggesting I withdraw quietly before this gets ugly. I wasn't angry. I was strategic. Every dismissive comment was evidence I might need. By midnight I had a complete file. By morning the power dynamic would shift permanently. I arrived at Stanford's administrative building at 10:07 a.m., exactly 7 minutes after my family's appointment began. Jennifer met me in the lobby. They're in conference room B, she said. Dean Williams is letting them talk. How's it going? Your brother has a spreadsheet. I laughed. Of course he does. Jennifer led me down the hallway but had me wait outside the conference room. Through the partially open door I could hear Marcus's voice. Statistically improbable. Her profile simply doesn't match admitted student averages. Dean Williams spoke calmly. Mr. Chen, I appreciate your concern for admissions integrity. However, our process is quite thorough. But her undergraduate performance is one factor among many, Dean Williams said. We evaluate work experience, leadership potential, GMAT scores, essays, recommendations, and demonstrated impact in previous roles. Ashley's voice joined in. We're not questioning the process generally. We're questioning this specific admission. Because you believe your sister isn't qualified? Silence. Then Dad, we believe there may have been considerations that aren't typically academic. Such as diversity initiatives, Marcus said bluntly. Or perhaps connections we're not aware of. Interesting, Dean Williams said. I could hear the ice in her voice. Tell me, Mr. Chen, what do you know about your sister's professional accomplishments? She worked at a small startup. They were acquired by Google. She did some investing afterward. How successful was her investing? I don't know exact numbers. And you didn't think to ask before accusing her of fraud? We're not accusing, Ashley started. You scheduled an emergency meeting to investigate her admission, Dean Williams said. You've questioned her qualifications, suggested she benefited from diversity initiatives, and implied she has inappropriate connections. Those are serious allegations. Mom's voice quiet. We just want what's best for her. By trying to have her admission revoked? The room fell silent. Dean Williams continued. Before we go further, I'd like to bring someone into this conversation. Jennifer. That was my cue. I walked in. Marcus's face went white. What are you doing here? Dean Williams invited me, I said, taking a seat at the conference table. Ashley looked between us. You two know each other? Quite well, Dean Williams said. Though perhaps I should let Ms. Chen explain. I set my folder on the table. 4 years of documentation. 4 years of dismissed achievements. 4 years of being underestimated. Marcus, I said calmly, you asked what qualified me for Stanford's MBA program. Let me clarify. I opened the folder. First page. The Google acquisition announcement. This startup you dismissed? I wasn't just an employee. I was director of business development. My equity stake was worth $8.2 million when we were acquired. Marcus grabbed the page. His hands shook. After the acquisition, I did some investing, as you put it. Actually, I became an angel investor focused on early-stage tech companies. Next page. My portfolio summary. These are my current holdings. 3 companies have gone public. 2 were acquired. My portfolio is currently valued at $47 million. Ashley's face had gone pale. That's not possible. It's documented, Dean Williams said. We verified all of this during her application process. I continued. Last year I sold 2 of my companies. The combined sale price was $89 million. My personal proceeds after taxes were $67 million. Dad's voice was barely a whisper. 67 million? 6 months ago I endowed a scholarship program at Stanford. The gift was $15 million, funding full-ride scholarships for first-generation entrepreneurship students. I slid another page across the table. The endowment agreement signed by me and Dean Williams. The University Foundation asked me to join their board. I accepted. I'm currently one of 15 board members who provide strategic guidance and philanthropic leadership for Stanford. Marcus stared at the document. You're on the foundation board? Have been for 3 months. Ashley found her voice. Why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked. You assumed failure, so I let you assume. Every dismissive comment, every sneer about my tiny apartment and basic life. I documented it all. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Marcus's voice. Still making peanuts? Ashley's laughter. Mom's sigh. We just want you to be successful. That was last Thanksgiving, I said. Want to hear Christmas? The room was silent. Dean Williams spoke. Ms. Chen's admission was based entirely on merit. Her GMAT score, while slightly below our average, was offset by extraordinary professional accomplishments. Her essays demonstrated sophisticated business thinking. Her recommendations came from 3 CEOs and a venture capital partner, all of whom described her as exceptional. She looked at Marcus. Your sister didn't need connections to get into Stanford. Her achievements speak for themselves. The only reason I knew about her foundation board position was because we served together. I recused myself from the admissions decision to avoid any perception of bias. The admissions committee evaluated her application blind, Jennifer added. They didn't know about her philanthropy or board service. They admitted her based on her entrepreneurial record alone. I leaned forward. Marcus, you wanted to investigate fraud. Let's talk about fraud. Another page from my folder. Bank statements for the Atherton house. Mom, Dad, your mortgage. You defaulted 2 years ago when Dad's investments crashed. The bank was preparing foreclosure proceedings. Mom gasped. How do you? Because I purchased the debt. I've been paying your mortgage for 24 months. You've been living in my house. Dad's face crumbled. The anonymous beneficiary was me. I kept you from losing your home. And you repaid me by trying to destroy my achievement. Ashley grabbed her phone. This is insane. Put the phone down, Dean Williams said sharply. We're not finished. I pulled out the final document, the family text thread from last night. Marcus, you wrote, she probably slept her way in. Ashley, you contacted 3 Stanford alumni to investigate me. Dad, you left a voicemail suggesting I withdraw before this gets ugly. I slid my phone across the table. These are potential defamation claims. You've accused me of fraud, sexual misconduct, and dishonesty. You've attempted to sabotage my education. All documented. The silence was absolute. Dean Williams stood. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, Marcus, Ashley, I think we're done here. Miss Chen's admission stands. She earned her place in our program through exceptional merit. She looked at me. Would you like campus security to escort your family out? I considered it, then shook my head. No. They can leave on their own. Marcus stood slowly. I didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. You assumed. For 4 years, you assumed I was failing because my success didn't look like yours. You mistook strategy for weakness. We're family, Mom said, tears streaming. Family supports each other. Family asks questions before accusations. Family doesn't try to destroy what they don't understand. I stood. Dean Williams, thank you for your time. I'll see you at the board meeting next week. Looking forward to it. I looked at my family one last time. I'm done proving myself to you. I have companies to run, investments to manage, and an MBA to earn. Whether you're part of my life going forward depends entirely on your next actions. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Ashley whisper, "Oh my God, what did we do?" Jennifer walked me to my car. That was the most satisfying meeting I've ever attended, she said. It was necessary. Dean Williams wants you to know. If they cause any problems during your program, you're to contact her immediately. They won't, I said. They're too shocked. I was right. For 3 days my phone stayed silent. No group chat messages. No calls. No apologies. On the 4th day Marcus sent a text. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Ashley tried next. Please. We need to explain. Still nothing from me. Mom called and left a voicemail. Sweetheart, we were wrong. So wrong. Please call us back. Dad's message came last. I don't know how to fix this. But I want to try. I let them sit with it for a week. Meanwhile, my phone exploded with different messages. The 3 CEOs who'd written my recommendations called to congratulate me again. 2 venture capital firms wanted meetings. A Forbes contributor reached out about a profile piece. 30 under 30 alumni success stories. The foundation board meeting happened on schedule. Dean Williams introduced me to 2 major donors who wanted to discuss educational philanthropy. One was considering a $25 million endowment. She wanted my advice on structure. Your scholarship program is the gold standard, she said. How did you design the selection criteria? I spent an hour explaining my approach. By the end, she'd asked me to consult on her entire giving strategy. The fee would be $150,000. I donated it back to Stanford. That evening, Marcus showed up at my apartment. I watched through the security camera as he stood outside my door for 10 minutes before finally knocking. I let him wait. When I finally opened the door, he looked devastated. Can I come in? 5 minutes. He sat on my couch, the $8,000 Italian leather one he'd called Trying Too Hard last Christmas, and put his head in his hands. I'm sorry, he said. I was jealous. Threatened. You weren't supposed to be more successful than me. Why not? Because I'm the oldest. I did everything right. Harvard, consulting, all of it. And you took a risk on some startup and... He looked up. $67 million. After taxes. I make $380,000 a year. I thought I was successful. You are successful, Marcus. Not like you. Different paths, I said. But you couldn't let me have mine. You needed me to be failing so you could feel superior. He nodded slowly. You're right. And I almost destroyed your admission because of it. I'm so sorry. Almost. I raised an eyebrow. You did destroy something. Trust. Respect. The relationship we had. Can we rebuild it? I don't know yet. 2 months into my MBA program, I hosted a family dinner. Not at their house, at mine. The real one. I'd purchased the Palo Alto estate 3 years ago for $6.7 million. 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, pool, guest house. I'd never mentioned it because they'd never asked where I really lived. The tiny apartment was my city pied à terre. Marcus arrived first. His jaw dropped when he saw the circular driveway, the fountain, the professionally landscaped grounds. Jesus Christ, he whispered. Ashley and her husband came next. She didn't speak, just stared. Mom and Dad arrived last. Mom started crying the moment she saw the house. Inside, I'd prepared dinner myself, something I'd learned to do well over the years. We sat in my formal dining room, beneath a chandelier that cost more than their first car. I didn't invite you here to show off, I said once everyone was seated. I invited you here because I wanted you to see the full picture. Not the edited version I've been showing you. I gestured around the room. This is my life. The companies, the investments, the properties, the foundation work. It's all real. And I built it while you were busy dismissing me. Dad spoke first. We failed you. As parents, as family. We should have asked, should have supported, should have believed in you. You should have, I agreed. But you didn't. And that taught me something important. I don't need your validation. I never did. Ashley wiped her eyes. So why are we here? Because despite everything, you're still my family. And I'm giving you a choice. We can rebuild our relationship. Honestly, with mutual respect, or we can be cordial strangers who see each other at holidays. I want to rebuild, Mom said immediately. Me too, Marcus added. Whatever it takes. Then it starts with honesty, I said. No more assumptions. No more dismissiveness. No more using success as a weapon. We support each other's paths even when they look different from our own. We talked for hours. They asked questions, real questions, about my businesses, my investments, my plans. I showed them the scholarship program details, explained my board responsibilities, shared my vision for the next phase of my career. After the MBA, I'm launching a venture capital firm, I said. Focused on investing in founders from non-traditional backgrounds. People who get overlooked because they don't fit the typical mold. Like you were, Ashley said quietly. Exactly like I was. Marcus leaned forward. Do you need any support? Connections, advice, anything? I smiled. Actually, yes. I need someone who understands traditional corporate structures. Someone who can help my founders navigate established companies. I'm in, he said immediately. Whatever you need. It wasn't fixed. Not completely. Trust takes time to rebuild, and I wasn't naive enough to think one dinner solved 4 years of dismissiveness. But it was a start. 3 months later, I stood in Stanford's Memorial Auditorium as Dean Williams introduced me to an audience of 200 incoming students. Our speaker today is a perfect example of why we look beyond traditional metrics, she said. An entrepreneur, investor, and philanthropist who's changing lives through both her business success and her commitment to education. My family sat in the third row. Marcus held up his phone, recording. Ashley smiled encouragement. Mom dabbed at her eyes. Dad gave me a thumbs up. I took the podium. When I applied to this program, my brother tried to have my admission investigated. He thought I didn't deserve to be here. Gasps from the audience. Marcus looked mortified. He was wrong, but not for the reason you might think. He was wrong because he'd never asked about my journey. He'd assumed failure without evidence. And that assumption almost cost me this opportunity. I looked at my family. Now he's my biggest supporter. Not because I proved him wrong, but because we had honest conversations about success, about worth, about what really matters. I turned back to the students. You'll meet people who doubt you. Family, friends, colleagues who can't see past their own definitions of success. Don't let them define you. Don't let them limit you. And most importantly, don't shrink yourself to fit their expectations. The applause started small, then built. By the end, the entire auditorium was standing. After the speech, Marcus found me outside. "Thank you for that," he said. "For what?" "For including the part about me supporting you now. You could have just ended with the investigation attempt." "I could have," I agreed. "But that wouldn't be the truth. The truth is people can change. Relationships can heal. It just takes humility, honesty, and work." He hugged me. "I'm proud of you, little sister. I should have said that 4 years ago. You're saying it now. That's what matters." As we walked back to my car, the Tesla Model S I'd finally stopped hiding, I checked my phone. A new text from Jennifer. "Dean Williams wanted you to know. 4 students have already applied for your scholarship program based on your speech. She says you're changing lives." I smiled. 4 years ago I was the overlooked youngest child. The underachiever. The disappointment. Now I was building an empire, funding education, and proving that success doesn't look the same for everyone. My brother had demanded to see the dean about my admission. He got more than he bargained for. And so did I.